is it?
Good afternoon, my daughter. You have proven yourself worthy of my help, and this is my gift to your father. Take this, my daughter. You will need this soon. Go now. Your problem is solved. Mr. Ichedioa and his children were very devastated after their mother left. Despite everything Mrs. Ichedioa did, Mr. Ichedioa always loved his wife dearly and prayed to the gods to give her a change of heart. He also prayed for financial blessings and to get work quickly, so his wife could return to the sweet woman he had always known her to be. He and his children waited endlessly every day with hopes that one day their mother would return, but to no avail. They never saw her in that house again. A few months later, when they had finished their morning chores and everyone was very moody, thinking about their mother, the first daughter, Amanda, who was fed up with the entire situation of the family, spoke up. "Papa, ago, Enini," she started, calling for the attention of everyone in the house. "Papa, I have made up my mind. When I was passing through the stream yesterday, on my way back from the market, I met an old woman. I greeted her, and she noticed that I wasn't looking happy. When she asked me what the problem was, I told her about everything that had happened in our family over the last few months. She then looked at me carefully and told me about an ancient mage who lived across the main river in Umuachi village. She could grant anything you desired if you passed her test. She then advised me to visit the mage to see if I could get some solutions to our problems. She also told me that the mage only came out on full moon nights. And as you all know, tomorrow night is a full moon. So I'm leaving for Umuachi village tomorrow morning to seek the mage and her blessings," she finally said, staring at everyone in front of her. "Are you out of your senses, Amanda? Haven't you heard of how dangerous that village is?" her brother asked her in anger. "It's true, and they are especially very violent towards outsiders. Amanda, please, we have already lost Mama. We don't want to lose you too," her younger sister said, still holding her hand amid sobs. Her father just stared on intently. After a while, he started, "Amanda, I understand the reason why you want to embark on this journey, and I'm even proud of you for your thoughtfulness, but your siblings are right. This journey is just too dangerous, and it's not worth it. What has happened has happened. You are not going anywhere, and that is my final decision," Mr. Ichedioa said with a tone of finality. She opened her mouth, still wanting to say something, but then caught herself and just said, "Yes, Papa," feigning obedience. She just said that to please her father and to set them at ease so they would not suspect her movements the next day, as she already knew her family would oppose her decision. But she had made up her mind, and no one was going to stop her. She was going to get up very early the next morning and leave before anyone even woke up. The next day, Amanda did as she planned, and when Mr. Ichedioa and the rest of her siblings woke up, Amanda was nowhere to be seen. Where could Amanda have gone so early in the morning? Her younger sister asked herself while searching everywhere for her sister. As if realization just dawned on Chiamaka, her brother, he turned and shouted, "Papa Neka, do you remember the journey Amanda spoke about embarking on yesterday? Do you remember she said the mage she spoke of would only come out on the full moon? And tonight is a full moon?" She had probably left for the journey, Chiamaka said to the others with certainty. "Yes, I remember," their father said as he put a thoughtful hand on his chin. "But I thought I told her not to go on that journey." And she agreed. Her father muttered to himself thoughtfully, "Yes, Papa, probably she just pretended to agree, so we wouldn't suspect anything or try to stop her today. We can't do anything now, Papa, but just pray to the gods that Amanda returns to us safely," Neka said as she hugged her father, crying. Amanda, on the other hand, was already long gone from their village and was approaching Umuachi village. She crossed the border easily and located the river the woman had told her about. But just as she was about to cross it to the other side in search of the mage, she saw a very old woman who seemed blind, trying to fetch water from the stream to no avail. She would pick up her calabash and try to scoop the water, but in the end, she would end up scooping air, as it seemed like the woman wasn't seeing the water. This woman seems blind. Moreover, she is too old to be fetching water with a calabash of that size. I will go and help her. Later, I can continue with my journey. And who knows? Maybe we might even be going in the same direction, she thought to herself as she approached the old woman. Good afternoon, Mama, she greeted the old woman. Good afternoon, NWAM, the old woman replied warmly. Mama, that calabash looks too heavy for you. Let me help you with it, she told the old woman, reaching for the calabash in her hands. But NWAM, you are going somewhere, and you seem to be in a hurry. I don't want to disturb you, the old woman said, protesting but not stopping Amanda from collecting the water pot from her. Amanda took the pot from the old woman and began fetching water in it as she continued. No, don't worry about me, Mama. I can continue with the journey anytime, as where I'm going is not far anymore. Let's go, she said to the old woman as she finished fetching the water and guided her as they left. When the old woman finished crossing the stream and had walked a distance, Amanda was so shocked by what she saw next that the water pot almost fell due to her trembling hands. She saw a massive shrine suddenly appear in front of her, and the old woman she was helping transform into a young maiden. But before she could ask questions, an elderly woman stepped out of the shrine and started addressing her. Good afternoon, my daughter. I know that what you seek in this land, and, as you know, I only grant wishes to people who are worthy. I already saw that you were coming here today, and I know your mission. So I sent my messenger here. She pointed at the young maiden who had just finished transforming from the old woman, to test you to see if you were worthy of my help. She took a deep breath before continuing. My messenger is the only one who knows the way to my domain, and she only shows it to people who are worthy of my help, she said before turning to the shrine. Shortly after, she entered and came out with an artifact that looked like an amulet. Take this, my daughter. You have proven yourself worthy of my help, and this is my gift to your father. You will need this soon. Go now. Your problem is solved, the mage finally told her, and then the shrine, along with the mage and the messenger, vanished. The next day, Amanda returned to her village, and as she approached her father's hut, she saw everyone seated as if they were already expecting her. When they spotted her, they hugged her and welcomed her inside their hut. After she had settled down and eaten, she began recounting her experience during the journey and her encounter with the mage and her messenger. She also gave her father the artifact the mage had given her, telling him about the mage's words regarding the artifact. Her father and the rest of her siblings were very happy, and they thanked the gods of their land for preserving their daughter and making her journey fruitful. Several months later, the king was in need of a particular amulet for a ritual. The amulet was so rare that only two existed, one of which was hidden deep in the evil forest of Amana Kingdom, 7 villages away from theirs, and the other had been long lost and forgotten. The king promised that whoever brought even one of the amulets first would be rewarded with a lot of land, cattle, gold, and other precious stones, as well as a lifetime of fortune for him, his family, and his generations to come. When the king described the kind of amulet he was looking for, all the men in the village began making preparations to set out to Amana Kingdom in search of the amulet. But when Kyagozi heard the description of the amulet, he quickly realized it was the same one Amanda, his sister, had given their father a few months back from the mage. I have to tell Papa about this immediately before he joins the rest of the men heading to Umuachi village, he thought to himself as he dashed to their hut. Papa, 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 I have good news, he exclaimed as he spotted his father from a distance, running in excitement. What is it, my son? Mr. Ichedioa asked, looking confused while trying to calm his overly excited son down. Papa, our story is about to change for the better, Kyagozi shouted with excitement. Papa, you know that amulet Amanda gave to you a few months ago from the mage she visited? You remember it, right? He asked, staring at his confused father and barely able to contain his excitement. Yes, my son, I remember. Is there anything with it? Mr. Ichedioa asked, still trying to figure out where his son was going with the question. Papa, you know that the king is looking for a special amulet and has promised a lifetime of fortune to the first person who brings it, even if it's just one of them, right? Kyagozi asked rhetorically before continuing. Papa, can you believe that when I inquired about the kind of amulet the king was looking for, its description was exactly the same as the one Amanda gave you? That means we have one of the amulets. Papa, our story is about to change. We'll give the amulet to the king first thing tomorrow morning when the rest of the men set out to Umuachi Kingdom to look for the other one, he finally said, still bubbling with joy. Mr. Ichedioa opened his mouth as if wanting to say something, but caught himself midway and turned to his son. After a thoughtful silence, he said, "Okay, my son, we'll give it to the king tomorrow morning, as you have said." Mr. Ichedioa reasoned that maybe that was what the mage meant when she said he would be needing the amulet soon. So he decided to give it to the king. He thanked the gods for giving him a courageous and kind daughter who had brought good fortune to him and their family. They did as planned the next morning, and it turned out to be the exact amulet the king was looking for. As the king had promised, he rewarded Mr. Ichedioa with land, cattle, precious stones, and great fortune. In no time, Mr. Ichedioa became the richest man in all of Amanku, only surpassed by the king himself. He didn't want anything to do with women again, but after noticing his children's fondness for a particular woman who sold batik wares at the village market, and recognizing her kindness and affection toward his children, coupled with his children's constant pressure to get remarried, he, with the consent of his children, married the woman. Meanwhile, the Anawu, whom Mrs. Ichedioa had run off to be with, was found guilty a few years later of conspiring against the king. He was exiled from the village and stripped of his title and all the entitlements offered to him. Life turned from sweet to bitter for Mrs. Ichedioa overnight. She started struggling and became very frustrated, remembering that she had heard some time ago that her husband had gained a lot of fortune from the king and was now very wealthy. She decided to beg for his forgiveness and that of her children. But when she arrived, she found she had no place in the home anymore, as Mr. Ichedioa had moved on and married another woman. Seeing that her husband wasn't even listening to her, she tried appealing to her children. However, her first son dragged her outside, reminding her of all she had done to their father and telling her that she was no longer welcome in the house and should return to where she had come from. He slammed the gate in her face without listening to any further explanations. She stayed outside the gate of her husband's house, crying and blaming herself for not believing in a husband who always loved her despite her wicked deeds. She wished she hadn't done everything she did to him and, at worst, that she hadn't left him. And that, my children, is the end of our story, Matsi Udemba finally said, taking a deep breath as he wrapped up his tale. Well, uncle, I'm glad that Chiamaka, the greedy mother, later got what she deserved, and Mr. Ichedioa remarried at the end, replacing that wicked woman and sealing her out permanently from his life, so he wouldn't have the option of ever accepting her back, probably out of emotion or pity. I really do hope the same fate befalls Ajizi, Kyagozi's mother. How can a mother be so selfish, abandoning? Ibuka was still speaking, fuming over the news he had just heard about his best friend's mother, when Matsi Udemba quickly interrupted him with a gentle tap on his shoulder. I understand how you feel about Kyagozi and his mother, my boy, but you should also remember not to wish bad on others no matter what, just like I have always taught you. Anyways, that's beside the point. Ifani, Matsi Udemba suddenly called, jolting the boy from his deep thoughts. He seemed to have been really reflecting on the story he had just heard. Yes, uncle. What did you learn? Uncle, I learned that sometimes in life, some situations will never change if we keep staying in our comfort zone. We need courage and the ability to take calculated risks to survive and change unpleasant situations, just like the brave and courageous first daughter Amanda did in the story. The family of Mr. Ichedioa had been wailing for months, and that changed nothing. So she understood that something had to be done differently in the family rather than the usual crying and waiting in vain hopes. So she took risks, even defying her father and all odds, and she eventually rewarded her family and even their generations to come with a lifetime void of poverty. Also, Amanda. Ifani was still speaking when Matsi Udemba cut him short with a wave of his hand. That's all right, my boy. You've spoken well. How about you, Ibuka? What did you learn? Well, uncle, I learned that sometimes in life you can solve your own problems and gain favors you don't ordinarily deserve through kindness to others. Like a story Mama Ojo told us one day in the market about a young woman who sells fish. A poor beggar came to the fish seller one night, telling her that she hadn't been able to beg anything that could provide her with even a plate of food for dinner, and pleading with the seller to help her with anything she could. The seller stared at the beggar for a while, put her hand into her purse, and brought out about 20 cowries, which was almost a third of the fish seller's earnings for the day. At that time, the seller, whose name was Ago, was going through a lot of tough times in her business, so much so that she herself couldn't comfortably afford a complete day's meal. Even giving out a penny was very difficult, but she figured the beggar needed the money more than she did and gave it regardless. Guess what happened? What? Go on. Matsi Udemba and the other children chorused simultaneously, eager to know how Ibuka's little tale later wound up. The next time ago, the fish seller saw the beggar again. She didn't see her in the usual rags. Instead, the beggar came down from a very nice ride, neatly dressed in the company of a young man who seemed to be her son. The young man was also, coincidentally, the first medical doctor in the village, sponsored abroad by the village king to study medicine due to his great intelligence. The beggar woman stopped in front of a ghost stall, pointed directly at her while talking to the young man with her. Yup, she's the one. Just like that, a ghost's life suddenly transformed for the better. She feeds well, dresses nicely, travels abroad. Mama Ojo even mentioned that Ago and the beggar's son are now happily married in the grand city of Abuja, where she also runs one of the biggest local seafood chain restaurants. So, you see, Ago received something she didn't deserve because of her unconditional kindness, which she most definitely wasn't even expecting a return. Just like Amanda earned the favor of the mage, and consequently solutions to her problems, which she ordinarily wouldn't have been able to solve on her own, through her unintentional assistance to the mage's servant, disguised as the blind old woman. If she hadn't done what she did, she wouldn't have been able to locate the mage in the first place, and her whole journey and sacrifice would have been in vain. Wow, that was such a great story for us all to learn from. Ibuka, I really enjoyed it. You all did very well, Matsu Udemba finally said. He wanted to dismiss them, but then his eyes suddenly drifted to Chidimna, who had been raising her hands enthusiastically since he finished his story. You, Dimna, did you learn something too? The old man asked the little girl, surprised. Chidimna wasn't one to always speak up during gatherings like this, given how shy she was. Yes, uncle, I learned something too, the girl muttered shyly while looking around. I learned that we should not be selfish. We should not be selfish. Was that really part of the morals of this story? I don't think so, but yes, my dear, we should not be selfish.
So don't be selfish. Like this video, pen down your comments, as well as additional moral lessons in the comment box below. Share this video, and most importantly, subscribe to this channel for more African stories with me, Mazi Udemba, and I'll see you in the next video.
Festus! How many times did I call you? You want to kill all of us in this house, right? You will kill all of us, for you have peace.
Obin, please, I want to go inside. I'm very tired now.
You say you are tired? What have you done today that gives you the right to be tired?
As for this house, you are not coming inside today, at least not while I'm still alive.
Go and walk!